You're listening to Hainay by Motzie Dapul. Episode 47, Pasko, Part 1.
This was sent to me through an email. Ended up in my spam, but I always check these just in case. From someone who only signed as JHC. DJ. I used to be a huge fan of your show, but I had to stop listening over a year ago, since I used to listen to these with my roommate. He used to run a blog, even called into your show a few times. When he passed away last year, I couldn't bear to listen anymore. Reminded me too much of him. I never much believed in the stuff he did. I was the skeptic to his believer, but I really enjoyed the whole genre. I was more of a cryptozoology guy. Loved talking about it, while he focused on urban legends, local ghosts, all of that. Sometimes I worried about how much he really believed in this sort of thing. But it made for good content, so I didn't have much to complain about. Sometimes he'd do some urbex. You know, check out abandoned sites, sneak into old buildings. Places we weren't exactly allowed to go, but his audience ate the stuff up, so he liked to take photos or video for evidence. He'd send me messages, photos of the places he was getting into somehow. Definitely illegally, but he was the chillest guy I knew, so it wasn't like I was gonna rat on him. Obviously, I thought it might be a bit dangerous, but I didn't think. You never think it'll happen to people you know. That is to say, nobody even really knows what happened. Only that it happened there. A blocked-off old parking lot. It seemed like they weren't done building it, but like it had been there for a while. Like the money ran out and they just left it the way it was. Pitch black, except for these industrial-strength white lights that lit up white strips across the floor. The photos he sent, they didn't look real. I've attached them. I didn't delete them because I worried the police would ask me more questions, and I might accidentally delete important evidence, you know? The last photo he took, he captioned with "Going underground," with a photo of a white-lit concrete stairwell. I didn't hear from him again the whole night. Figured he lost signal, and I'd get a bunch of notifications from him later, once all his photos uploaded. He wasn't back the next morning, so I worried he got caught out there. Tried to text him, then call. The call went through eventually, and there was a stranger on the other end. When I demanded to know where my friend was, I was told to go over to the main precinct ASAP. God, I was so pissed. I didn't want to be accused of being an accessory or whatever. So I was ready to throw my friend under the bus if I had to, because I would not go down for trespassing, or whatever else he was getting up to. But no. When I got there, they told me his family was coming too. I didn't understand until they asked if I could identify the body. I don't think I took a breath for a whole minute until someone got me some water. I still didn't understand. Not entirely. Shock, you know? But I agreed. And they walked me to the morgue. I saw the body on the slab, under a sheet. And even before they drew it back, I knew it was him. I just wasn't prepared for how he'd look. He liked to play pranks sometimes. Nothing too crazy, just a jump scare here and there. I always got him back. One of them was hiding in my bed and screaming at me as soon as I came into the room. Idiot. When he screamed, he could get his face into this bizarre shape. Great for videos, you know? Weird stuff. What I saw, it was like that, but it didn't move. His face, it was stuck like that. This bizarre, deformed scream. Pure terror. Like he'd been screaming to the very end. And died that way. Stuck that way. Eyes rolled to the back of his head so they were pure white in the sockets. Cheeks hollowed out, like the life had been sucked out of him before he died. I confirmed to the police that this was my roommate, and when I got back to the lobby, I found his parents, who begged to know if it was true. Like the police would lie to them about this, make them come all the way down for a lie. I told them it was true, and told them not to look. It was too much for me. I couldn't imagine. His uncle went in just to confirm so his parents wouldn't have to. Tough-looking guy. Always seemed like nothing could shake him. But this did. As much as it did me. He had tears in his wide eyes, and they all embraced each other. Caught me in it, too. They didn't know what killed him, but they did know he died afraid. Which was clear from his face and the way his arms were frozen in front of him. Like he was trying to shield himself from something. But there was no trauma. He wasn't stabbed, or shot, or struck, other than when he hit the floor from tripping. They said he'd been running from something, but in the end, the fear killed him. Heart stopped from the stress, even if he didn't have any history of heart problems. His family didn't want any of this to get out, so it didn't show up in the news. Told me they planned to go back to the Philippines, that they wouldn't be in contact after this, but thanked me. especially because they had no plans to collect his things from our apartment, and I, stupidly, agreed to throw it all out for them. I didn't touch a thing for about a week. I couldn't bring myself to do anything, really, except tell the landlord I'd be moving out in a month since I couldn't pay for a 2-bedroom on my own. But one day, I know this'll sound crazy, but I figure if anyone's primed to believe this kind of insanity, it's you, DJ. One day, a little over a week after my roommate died, I heard a key in the lock and the apartment door opening. Quietly, like whoever was coming in didn't want to disturb me. I was half asleep, but went to check who it was. The only people with access to the place were me and the landlord, so I figured the idiot was gonna try and get the place ready for new tenants before I was even gone. But when I walked into the living room, prepping myself for the unpleasant conversation, he was there. My old roommate, standing there in the dark. "Hey," he said. "Sorry, did I wake you?" And just for a second, I forgot. I said, "Yeah, dumbass," about to explain the landlord situation, when my brain caught up on why the landlord would come in. And I felt my heart skip a beat. I couldn't breathe again. He asked me if I was okay. I didn't say anything, just stared at him. He looked normal. Smiled at me like he used to, like he was about to lay into me, until he noticed I was acting a little weird, and told me that I should get back to bed. "Sorry for coming in so late," he said. "Phone died," he said, so it took him a while to find his way back without directions. When I still didn't respond, he said goodnight, went back to his room. I don't remember anything else from that night. I must have stumbled back to bed, because that's where I was the next morning. Thought it was just a weird dream. Not quite a nightmare, because, well, it'd be nice if the rest of it was the nightmare, and I woke up and my friend hadn't died, and I didn't have to deal with dumping his stuff or deal with the landlord or the move. But when I went to the kitchen, he was right there, sitting on the couch in the living room. I didn't let him think anything was wrong, because I didn't want him to think I was insane. Having a whole delusion about your friend and roommate dying? God, can you imagine? But I tried to call his parents, and I couldn't connect. I checked my messages, and there it was. His last message to me. "Going underground," it said. I saw something there that I never noticed before. In the corner of the photo, mostly blocked by the lower stairs, the black shadow of the open door, and something reaching out. The same black-like fingers, overlong, thin, stretching out from the emergency door to the lower level. I've attached that photo as well. I spent weeks with my roommate, acting like nothing was wrong, on edge the whole time. He was normal the entire time, but that just made it worse, because every time I looked at his face, I remembered it in depth, seared into my memory from that day. I didn't tell him I was moving out. Just waited it out until the last day, when I knew he'd be out. Packed up all my stuff, got in the truck, and left. Blocked his numbers, his accounts, God, even his email. He didn't know where I'd be, and after about 2 months of radio silence, I could finally breathe easy. I couldn't fully rationalize it in my head, so I didn't even try. I couldn't do the things we used to do together, and one of those things was listen to your show. I spent a year avoiding it, but one day, I don't know, I thought I'd give it a try again. Get a few laughs. Listen to your new episodes, since you seem to be doing well. It took me a while to get updated, but I got to the episode with the corpse, and DJ. Whoever's calling you? Telling you those stories? That's not Abe. It wasn't in the news. The info wasn't released to the public, so I know you have no reason to believe me. But those photos I sent you? They're real. And I'm not kidding when I say that Abe died a year ago. He died afraid. And I don't know why he came back. Get the fuck away from me!
Mari, I don't... Please calm down.
Where are you? Show yourself!
Mari!
Don't you come any closer. Stay there.
I don't understand. Why are you scared of me? What happened?
Abe? Is it really you?
Of course it's me, Mari.
What's the last thing you remember?
Halloween? We were going through something. It was horrible, but you succeeded. We got through it, and I know I needed time to recover, but...
Abe, you were dead.
Huh?
Come here.
Oh. Hey. I missed you too.
I'm sorry. I'm so sorry.
Mari, what's wrong?
Thank you. For everything.
I should be thanking you. You saved my life after all.
I'm sorry I failed you.
Huh? That was usually cruel of you. Please, I'm not here to hurt you.
You!
Yes, me. We've technically met before, just not under the best of circumstances.
Once when you tried to find me through George May. The second time when you tried to find me through the puppet master's little ghost girl, Lori.
I remember. I felt your malice then.
Malice for them, not for you.
Stay away from me.
Like I said, I'm not here to hurt you. I want to talk.
Like I trust you. After what you did.
And what do you think I did? What did my fellow elders tell you? Before you've ever even spoken to me?
This. What you did to Abe is unforgivable. How could you? After everything you saw at Hyde.
Oh. You don't know, do you?
What?
Abe. When you met him, he was already like this.
What are you talking about?
This poor boy died long before you ever saved him. You've only ever known him like this. And before you say anything, no, I didn't kill him. In fact, I tried to save him. I got so close, but I couldn't. But I was just in time to hold on to his soul. Give him a second chance at life.
Out of the kindness of your heart?
Out of guilt. I brought him back again when Lori made him relive his death. It made his mind retreat, his body shut down. His soul remained, but I had to reset him. It took time. A few visits to the morgue while they kept him locked down. I had to make sure he couldn't relive the trauma of his deaths. And when he was finally ready, the first thing he wanted to do was see you again. I thought it would be a kindness.
You thought... How can I trust anything you say?
What could I possibly say to make you believe that I want to speak in good faith? Free of all the things other elders, those who hate me and everything I stand for, have told you in the past.
Tell me your name.
I'd love to, but you won't remember it. That's not how the spell works.
Try anyway.
I told you. Even looking at me now, I can tell you can't remember my face. Sliding off your memory like water off a stone. I'd love to make an exception for you, but I can't. The only way you'd remember is if everyone did. And that's not ideal. For obvious reasons.
Well, I'm not calling you the Benefactor.
Call me whatever you like. I just want to talk.
You seem so afraid. For someone who's the leader of elders.
Leader? I'm not their leader. I'm their warden. You don't understand how much worse everything could have been. The puppet master and their hundreds of clockwork corpses, all obedient to them and their child. Clarence Thomas, who kidnapped entire families and tortured them in the dead of winter, so their fear deaths were at their most potent. All because he refused to follow our rules. Rules that were no different than those implemented by our former leader. Catherine Argon, who tried to take a ship full of people in the Arctic before I and the Bartolottis ended her. Robert Ellman, who tricked teenagers, mere children, in some sort of twisted moral play. Even the traitors, May called Langford, Gregory and Renard, all of them. Even Richard Henry, who acted in my stead and betrayed me. Don't you understand why you think I'm the enemy? Because all you've ever known is their fear of me.
You're right. I've only ever heard about you from your enemies, and the allies who fear you. But what about the foci? If your intentions are so pure, why do they still exist?
I've tried everything. I've tried to find a way to deactivate them, track them down, but it's impossible. We can't sense them until they activate. And when they activate, I do what I can to save who I can. But if their fear is too strong, or the miasma too great, or I don't get there in time... But I suppose you know how it feels to lose people you're trying to save.
Don't compare us.
Why not? I've seen what you're capable of. Times when I came, responded to active foci, only for you to subdue them. To save the people who might have been devoured by them. You were doing good work, and only when you ran into a wall did I interfere. Like when you were looking for George Langford's real name.
You're the one who left the photo. The one that revealed George May's true name to us.
I didn't know his plans, but a miasma that big wasn't hard to notice. Knowing how capable you were, I left you alone. But somehow you kept finding where my greatest enemies trapped their souls in foci. Found traps meant for me. I stayed well away from them, knowing my presence would set them off. I thought, as long as I stayed away, it'd be safe. I never would have guessed my magic, the magic I used to keep Abe alive, would do the same. I'm sorry about the dollhouse. I wish it hadn't happened.
You knew about the traps? The ones Richard Henry set for you?
What that man did to me. There were times he acted in my stead. Wore my clothes, used my glamour, whistled my song, betraying me all the while. Though it took me so long to see it. It wasn't until the journalist began to uncover things about me that I learned about his lies.
If you truly mean well, why did you threaten harm against Jay and his loved ones? Why was he so afraid of you? He was no elder. He did no harm.
I regret what I did to him, but I had no choice. I needed him to go. But I never would have hurt his loved ones. Why else would I leave spells of protection on his parents, his partner, Dooley?
You left that spell of protection?
Of course. I spent years as Peter, wearing the glamour of the young man who admired the journalist and his work. Though he only saw me as a naive tag-along, I considered him a friend. I wanted to make sure his friends were safe. Even if he feared me as the benefactor.
You caused him so much suffering. And for what?
He uncovered something. A weapon that could have been turned against me. You're right. He did no wrong. At least, not to me. But I couldn't leave that threat unchallenged. So I scared him. Without bringing him harm. Hid traces of him, hid the pocket watch that gave him power, protected his family and his beloved. It was the best I could do under those circumstances.
That night, at the crypt, you saved him.
Yes. The boy. Well, I met him as a boy. Michael.
Donner.
It wasn't the first time I saved him. Years ago, he was almost devoured by a focus. Almost burned in the fire that would have destroyed it, and the miasma with it. But I pulled him out. A boy that I was able to save against all odds. And look at him now. It's like fate seeing him again. Saving him again.
You saved him. You saved him. I believe you. But I need to know something.
Anything.
At the meeting, when you were absent, Richard Henry said something about your plans. A plan to ensure that the elders would have an endless supply of power. But after everything you've just told me, I assume that was a lie?
In some ways, yes.
What is your real plan, then? I assume you have one.
My real plan? Well, it used to be a pipe dream. But recently I found out that there might be a way to achieve it. Years and years I've spent trying to control my fellows, save people from foci. But there are those I couldn't control, and those I couldn't save. In the end, I wish there was a way for these people to save themselves. If they could only have the power that gave me the blessings I have. But I couldn't just make more foci. Not after I saw all their effects. I couldn't just make more elders. So I looked for other ways. I asked Richard Henry to help me. And he studied foci, experimented on their effects. Before I knew of his betrayal, he helped me discover so many answers. We were, after all, both members of our former leader's inner circle. We were missing a brilliant mind beyond our own, but between us, we formed a hypothesis. There was a tear in reality formed the day I received great power in Hyde. A place on the other side that was not quite a place. Power, magic exuded from that one small tear. It would take an unprecedented amount of power to do it, but what if I found a way to share that magic with the city, with the world? What if everyone could defend themselves, no longer need to be protected from this threat they never could have been prepared for? What if everyone had this power? Not just elders, not just random people like Lori, like you and your guru friend. What if nobody had to be powerless anymore, and it didn't take the fear and death of innocents to do it?
That would change everything.
Exactly.
But not the way you think. I can't. Your plan is... I know why you want to do it. I understand what it feels like to fail to protect innocent people, but you can't just upend the natural order because you feel guilty. There must be another way. A way to track all the foci, deactivate them, stop the elders.
You don't think I tried that? I've tried everything. To track the foci, to deactivate them. I gathered every focus I could, ensured they'd never be activated. I studied Savard's notes, every single page. I've studied every spell the elders have invented, tried to make ones that could stop the senseless death, and I failed. I received so much power in Hyde, and thought that I could change things. But it only proved to me how little I could actually achieve. If I had another way to stop all of this, I'd take it in a heartbeat. But I've spent decades searching for an answer, and this is my best option. Especially because I don't know how long it'll be before the elders decide to stand up against me, or betray me like Richard Henry did, or even hide things from me like the Bartolottis, plotting in secret against me. I don't know how long I have left. I don't even know if my power is enough. But I finally have a solution. If you could help me achieve it.
I believe you. But I can't help you.
Then...
Not in this. Maybe if you found another way. Maybe if I find another way and can finally give you a better path than the one you already have. If we are truly aligned in this, I will keep saving people. I sense the foci even before they activate because I can feel the sickness of their magic in the vicinity. If I find a way to sense them from afar,
maybe. Or maybe you'll see how pointless it is when you lose more people than you already have. Either way, you don't have to decide right now. Here.
what is it?
A way to contact me. If you decide to help me. Or if you find a better way, God willing. It was a gift from our old leader. My mentor. You just need to wind it up and... well, he always did love his clockwork projects. I should have known what he was. I should have seen it. Should have stopped him before. But in the end, I suppose, I'm just that easy to fool.
I'm sorry.
Thank you. And thank you for saving the innocent. I won't interfere, and your loved ones have nothing to fear from me. Especially not... He is dear to me, that one. I want you to know, if you do decide to help me, then I can help you too, against whatever it is that's hunting you.
How do you know about that?
I don't, but I know that look on your face. That hunted look. I've seen it enough times. But with how powerful you've shown yourself to be, what could possibly hunt someone like you? If you want to speak again, you know how to find me.
Wait! Don't touch him. Let me...
I am sorry for Abe. If you wish to release his soul, you only need destroy the body.
You're listening to Hainai by Motzie Dapul.
Pasko, or Christmas, Part 2, will premiere on September 29, 2024. That's Sunday night at 9 p.m. EST. You can watch it live and chat with other listeners on our YouTube channel, youtube.com/HainaiPod. But even if you missed that premiere, you can still listen to it wherever you listen to podcasts, such as on Acast, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and so on. You can follow us on our socials at HainaiPod, that's HINAYPOD, for more updates on what's to come after a mid-act finale. Thank you always for your support. We love you. And hanggang sa muli.